There was already a lot of drama in the EN Vtuber community this week with that whole Sarué thing that went on. And, well, apparently we're ending the week with even more drama. Multiple VTubers now accusing each other of things. We got Bunny Gif and also Layna Lazar. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Various accusations thrown around. Started with Layna coming out with a statement against Bunny, and other VTubers and other cosplayers in general also talking about experiences they have had with Bunny. Not good experiences. And Bunny has issued a response to those claims, to those accusations. And I'm getting more and more people saying, Hirohei, when you talked about the downfall of the golden age of VTubers, well, it turns out you were actually right about that. To which I would say, unfortunately, it seems like I was. Look, that's not a good thing to be right about. And let's be real, it's not like it was some expert prediction. The writing was on the walls, man. I've seen various communities, whether it's anime, gaming, or whatever, just become absolutely toxic when a lot of people on the EN side of things find out about it and invade it. And yeah, invade is a little hyperbolic, but I think it's still fitting. So when I saw Hololive EN Gen 1 announcement and debut, and a bunch of people who previously had no interest in VTubers before suddenly start showing interest in VTubers, including people I'd seen in other fandoms, like people in the Ruby fandom who are extremely toxic, suddenly showing interest in VTubers. And then on top of that, you also had various individuals like Pokimane, not to call her out specifically, it's just a fact, when people like Pokimane started also making VTubers shortly around that period of time. Well, it was, like I said, pretty inevitable. The writing was on the walls that a lot of people would start jumping on this because they found it to be a trendy thing. Now, let me make a disclaimer here as well. There's plenty of EN VTubers and people in the EN community that are not toxic. There's plenty of people that only found out about VTubers after Hololive EN Gen 1 that are not toxic. Let's not get that mixed up. But once again, a fact is, when these communities grow and they take off, so to speak, on the EN side of things, the toxicity is pretty much inevitable. We've seen it, as I said, in various fandoms, whether it's anime fandoms like Hero Aka, gaming fandoms, whatever. You could pick an example out of a hat, really. It's particularly amusing to me, too, when people get mad at me for talking about this stuff. They say, well, Hirohei, why are you talking bad about a Western or EN community? You're a part of that community. You live in the US. What are you, a Japanese nationalist? I'm like, dude, what kind of terrible take is that? Like, just because I'm in a community doesn't mean I'm not allowed to talk about the toxicity in that community? That doesn't make any sense at all. Anyways, let's dial it back to this whole Bunny Gif, Bunny AU, Bunny Gif, Layna Lazar cosplayer thing. There's other cosplayers like Meowry also talking about this situation, coming out with statements against Bunny, like I said. And I'm going to say this too. I think I'm totally open for criticism in this video because I'm not going to be going through all the receipts. This is not going to be a video. It's like an in-depth news video covering everything that went down. Because to be quite frank, if I were to do that, it would probably be an hour-long video, maybe 45-minute long, maybe an hour and a half long. I don't know, something in that ballpark probably. And to be quite frank, that's just not something I want to do. So if you want to criticize me for not posting all the receipts, by all means, go ahead. But let me also say I'm not framing this as a in-depth news video about this topic. No, I've seen this topic go on. I'm in these communities, and I want to talk about it. You want to sit down or wherever you are listening to this and join me in a discussion, by all means. If you want to criticize me for not covering this more thoroughly, by all means, go ahead and do that too. Let's get into it. Oh, I should also make this clear. I have read the receipts. I read all the DMs. I read the statements last night. And I also read the ones that came out this morning. Like, I think Bunny's response came out about 9 hours ago or so. Read that too this morning. What I'm not doing in this video is reposting all those screenshots and stuff and making some thoroughly edited video with all their receipts in this video. So if you want to read all that stuff, all the DMs, the emails, and all that, you're welcome to find it over on their associated social media pages. As far as I understand, they're still up. Nothing's been taken down yet. You never know how things might develop. So, taking it from the top, to my understanding, it all started with this document posted by Layna Lazar on March 17th titled, My Full Experience with Bunny Gif with Evidence. And in the document, she recounts a number of negative experiences that she has had with Bunny, ranging from poor business practices to a cosplay group that they were in or something where it just got very, very toxic. But it starts with the whole business thing. So let's talk about that. So apparently Bunny had wanted Layna Lazar and Lana's company to make this figure of her to sell to her fans. Apparently that's something the company does. I don't know if they do more than that, but they make these figures. And so in the contract, it looks like the agreement is that Bunny actually didn't have to pay anything to Layna, and that Layna and her company, they'll accept all the risk and pay for all of the production. The catch of that is, of course, that they're going to get some money on the sales. In this case, it was, I believe, a 70-30 split, 70 going to the company, 30 going to Bunny. And to make sure that they actually earn money on this, Bunny would have to promote on her social media pages the project, promote the figures. Makes sense, right? Bunny wants this figure done. She wants to sell it to her community. So they'll make the figures. She's going to promote the figures. They all end up happy. The fans end up happy. Bunny gets money. The company gets money. That's how it would work in an ideal world, right? Well, as you know, because we're talking about this in this particular video, it's not an ideal world that we live in. It's not how things actually went down. Apparently, Layna Lazar alleges, and she does include screenshots, that Bunny was highly unprofessional to work with, essentially, and she would do odd things like make tweets promoting the figures to then later delete the tweets promoting the figures. And this was all rather confusing to Layna Lazar and her company. And from what I've seen in the messages, Layna was pretty respectful about it at first, just being like, hey, what's going on with this? And Bunny would come back with some excuse, for example, in some cases saying that she's moving right now, so it's all very stressful. And in other cases saying that she's having her period right now, for some reason mentioning stuff like that. Apparently, stuff like that stops her from promoting the figure that she wanted made. So when I was reading this, I was sitting there thinking, this could only really ultimately be one thing, in my opinion. She's not happy with the figure. She doesn't want to promote the figure because something about the figure she doesn't like, she's unhappy with. I'm not saying that justifies it. I think she handled it very poorly, but that's what it was kind of looking like to me. She should have talked about this and handled this whole thing differently, in my opinion. Now, Bunny has also made a response, like I mentioned, saying that the screenshots that was posted by Layna, some or all of them, are out of context. And I do think that's fair because technically they are. Layna's explaining to us the context and then posting these screenshots, but we have to assume that's right. Technically, the screenshots are still out of context. But to also be fair to Layna, it's not the sort of thing that you can really post the full context of. To technically post the full context, she would have to dump the entire log, like from the very beginning. Otherwise, anyone could always just say, well, this is out of context. So ultimately make of this stuff what you will. Like I said, I'm just discussing it. I'm just talking about it, bringing it to you. And if you want to look into this more yourself, by all means, go ahead. This is my opinion, my understanding of the situation. And this is really still just the start of it. Now, at this point in the document, Layna goes on to talk about this cosplayer group that they were in, that she was invited to, called the Cherry Bombs, a group that Bunny was also in, and a handful of other woman cosplayers were also in. Now, according to Layna, and some of the screenshots that she posted of other women talking about this from the group, they were under the impression that this was a group that was just supposed to be friendly. Women cosplayers together, being friendly together, talking about cosplaying and stuff like that. Making friends. Apparently what Bunny was doing with this group was trying to pressure people into retweeting her posts, sharing her posts, helping her grow and make connections. Some of the stuff that Layna says in her document. And she does post pictures of this. Once again, you can find this stuff in her document. And apparently, around the same sort of time period, while this is all going on with this group, Layna alleges that Bunny is in DMs with her and other people, picking other cosplayers, other women cosplayers, and body shaming them and just saying weird stuff about them, insulting them in private. So it's just a very weird sort of toxic environment. And eventually this sort of toxicity pretty much spills into the Cherry Bomb group itself. Members start questioning why they're there. They were wondering, like I said, they were thinking that this group was supposed to be a friendly group where they all get along and like talk about cosplay and whatnot, but that's not really what ended up happening. So people started questioning Bunny as to what exactly is the point of this group. Layna even says that everyone was apparently too scared of Bunny at this time. Apparently Bunny was much larger than most of these people, social media wise, much larger than most of these people. So they were kind of being hush-hush about their concerns. So Layna ends up messaging this other person, Susu, about her concerns with Bunny being confrontational towards other cosplayers and making them uncomfortable. Somehow this gets back to Bunny. Bunny finds out, gets extremely upset with Layna, and then they end up talking about it in front of the other woman in the group, and suddenly the group is broken up, and apparently nothing else was said about it by Bunny, and that was really the end of the Cherry Bomb group. Layna then details how sometime after that all occurred, Bunny had apparently started reaching out to random cosplayers and making claims to them that she was attacked by Layna. Basically, Bunny going around to various people trying to make Layna look bad to them. Apparently, Layna even alleges that Bunny's boyfriend at the time, OG Texas, was reaching out to Lana's partner and trying to get him to drop Layna from the project. The project, I believe, being this whole figure thing that was still going on. The timeline of events is a little confusing to me. But this is, once again, just my understanding of the situation. So I guess Layna and her partner were both working at this company with, the production of these figures. Long story short, the toxicity gets worse. Discussions break down. Ultimately, the entire project gets canceled. But that even includes, for example, after Layna says that, I quote, "The point in the project we were on was getting the gray resin cast out, and the painting had not been started. Bunny had also made her cosplay for the prints that she wanted to go in the collector's edition, which I had asked her many times to please do, but was met with excuses." So if all this stuff is true, apparently all along the process of production, Bunny is just giving excuses to various parts of production, making everything much more difficult. And again, she didn't even have to pay a dime for this at all. All the risk and liability was on the company. Perhaps Bunny saw that, and she thought, well, then I'm just going to, if they have all the risk and liability, it doesn't matter how I treat them. If that's what her line of thought was, oh my gosh, is that awful. That's beyond unprofessional. That's just unprofessional and awful in my opinion. I'm sure a lot of people could fill in the blank with whatever word they want to put in there. So like I said, this results in the entire project being canceled. I'll read directly from Layna's statement on this one again. She says, "I put my relationship and my business with my partner on the line when I had made the decision on my own to cancel the project. I was selfish and chose not to listen to my partner and make a decision that had massive consequences. Bunny refused to be in contact with me anymore, and any further conversations were had through their new agency, Nani. We compiled everything they asked for and did not continue forward until we made good on the things that were needed. After discussing what may have been left on the project, I let them know my decision on canceling the project and what that would entail." She then says, "This is where things are absolutely not okay. Bunny has told a vast majority of people consistently coming after me, actively trying to sabotage me with slander, that I scammed her out of money, that she was taken advantage of financially, that she was never paid. This is what has been motivating me to come out with this now. I refuse to continue to let people believe that she was not paid and let off freely. Bunny kept the money she was paid by us from the pre-orders, which was $2,123 USD on July the 10th, 2018. She was never asked to pay it back, nor was she asked to help with refunding those that pre-ordered. I agreed that I would take on full responsibility for my decision and pay over $20,000 USD that was owed. Not only was I now $20K in debt to pay off the refunds, I also had to pay the cover of the cost of production that was already happening. I am still to this day paying it off." So it certainly seems like, if this is all true, that Bunny was a terrible person to work with. And that's arguably putting it lightly. I do think there's some criticism for Layna and her company, though, as well. Taking on all that risk, all that liability, not vetting who you're working with some more, and even if they are completely vetted, still taking all that risk and liability, maybe that wasn't the best business model. And or if they really wanted to take that approach, perhaps they should have kept production at a very minimal amount first. Not something that totaled over $20,000. Maybe start off with a much smaller amount, see how it would go, see how working with Bunny would go, and then scale up from there. But then again, maybe there's a chance that Layna would even agree with that statement and be like, yeah, that's totally fine to criticize. I don't know. That's just my opinion on it. And once again, I don't know the full details. This is just what she's telling, and it's just her side of things. Ultimately, make of my opinion what you will. So the document goes on quite a bit more. To summarize, though, it sounds like after this whole thing happened, after the Cherry Bomb group fell apart, after this whole figure project fell apart as well, that Bunny allegedly kept going to other people, just trying to smear Layna Lazar and her company, saying things like she was never paid, just saying a bunch of stuff that Layna Lazar refutes. And Layna Lazar ends with this. She says, quote, "This has never stopped since 2018. I can't escape it, and I'm mentally tired. I'm tired of being scared. I'm tired of pleading my case. I'm tired of making new friends and wondering when they're going to contact them and having to explain myself." I suppose them contacting is referring to Bunny and people that are associated with Bunny, for example. "I'm tired of this boulder breaking me, and I can't carry it anymore. I tried to save face, keep the peace by not coming out with this. I know she knows the truth. I know she was scared for me to say anything, so she tried to change up her story in hopes it made gains, but hasn't. It's caught up now, and I've had enough. This behavior is not okay. It's not okay in any community. Manipulation, harassment, the lies. I can't do it. I refuse to do this anymore. There are many other women I watched be torn apart by Bunny, and I am sure they will have their own stories to tell when they're ready, but this is mine, and I'd like to finally be free." On that note, moving right on to another statement issued by another person, we got Susu here. Susu says, "I silently endured being emotionally abused by Bunny for years. This is why I have ceased speaking to her for over a year. A lot of what happened to me is similar to the public stories shared. I'm sorry I didn't listen to those who tried to help me all these years, and that my choices at the time hurt others. I'm saying something now because I hope my voice will help those who have spoken out or wish to. I'd like to keep the details of what happened to me and the details about Bunny private. I believe there's a chance for her to become a better person and will respect her privacy. I won't share any more than this. Taking time off." Another person, Meowry, has also posted about Bunny, apparently trying to resolve her issues with Bunny over on Discord in private, only to be met with, I'm not sure what the screenshot is, to be quite frank. Is it her being blocked by Bunny? Not too sure, but essentially Meowry says this. "Tried reaching out to reconcile privately after following up today, was defriended." Okay, that's what it is. Shows how much I use Discord. I couldn't really tell what was going on there. Got it though. So, "Tried reaching out to reconcile privately after following up today, was defriended. What happened to wanting to talk things out at Bunny Gif at Bunny AU?" And so there are other people also talking about Bunny. Not going to be reading all that stuff though. Again, we'd be here all day if I go into everything. So, make of it what you will. If you want to criticize me for my coverage on this, by all means, go ahead. I want to get to Bunny's response. So, as I think I mentioned near the beginning of this, Bunny issued a statement at this point probably around 9 to 10 hours ago. And she does actually admit that she handled the whole figure thing unprofessionally at first with the revisions. So it turns out like what I speculated on was actually true. Bunny wasn't happy with the way the figure was coming out, but she does even say that she handled it poorly and she understands that she was frustrating to work with. Bunny also says that Layna's screenshots are out of context, something I believe I also brought up at some point in this video. And again, I do think that's a fair point, but like I said at that point in the video as well, it's not really something you can post the full context of. Technically, that would mean posting the entire chat log. And who's going to be sitting here like reading hours, maybe days worth of chat logs? It certainly ain't going to be me. Bunny, however, does also own up to her, apparently, in her words, she says that she admits to being sassy and abrasive to the Cherry Bomb group. Another thing Bunny owns up to is that her new manager, Nani, who apparently are no longer her managers, when they stepped in to talk about the issues to Layna and her company, she does admit that this actually just complicated things and it didn't seem to make things better. Now, one thing I will criticize Bunny here on is that she does try to put all the blame on Nani for her keeping the payment of $2,123 USD for the pre-order sales. She says, I quote, "When the pre-orders first came in, I received a payment of that figure as part of my share from the sales. When the agreement was canceled, my manager Nani, on behalf of me, requested that I keep the commission. Layna never followed up on that note, as you can see below. So it was assumed that it was okay." Now, if she feels like it's okay to keep that figure, that amount, even after this company incurred like $20,000 liability, maybe she didn't know the figure, fair enough, but she certainly knew that they incurred some level of liability, some level of debt from this failed project. I do think that's on her. You can't just blame the manager for it. She willingly chose to have that manager, and she could have stepped in at any point and said, no. I want to give them the money back. I don't want to be making any money off a project that failed, whatever it may be. Some people may disagree with me on this and say that it was right for her to keep the pre-order money. Personally, I think it's a bit tacky, and I think she could have stepped in and handled that differently. I don't think putting the blame on the manager is really the appropriate thing to do. Let me also expand on the sassy and abrasive comment mentioned earlier regarding the Cherry Bomb group. I believe this was also in reference to just her attitude towards other cosplayers in general, where she was essentially, you could boil it down to being toxic to other women, to other cosplayers. It does sound like she tries to own up to that. and says that this stuff all happened years ago and she's a different person now. Now, regarding her talking to other creators about the business, the figure, I Has Toys, the whole figure thing, I believe that's what she's referring to here when she says, in regards to me talking to other creators, I admit that I confided in people that I thought I could trust with my side of the conversation. I was looking for comfort from a friendly side that I felt I could trust, a normal human response to being hurt. I sought out a refuge. I will admit that if anything came out of those friendships, it was entrusted to them to keep it private. I will not be releasing any further details on this, as I like to respect everyone's right to privacy here. She also says, for anyone looking for a summary, I understand that my actions were hurtful to Layna and others, and for that, I'm sorry. Life is a constant learning from your past, and I am not the same abrasive person I was before. I know some of you may not believe me, but all I can do is show that I am a changed person through my actions. I hope you keep in mind that this version of me was from 4 years ago. I know what I've done wrong. I'm not perfect, and I've grown from not only this event, but the past events as well. I'm still open to talk to anyone who I have caused issues with and is open to have a discussion with me. I want to make things right, and I want all of us to be able to move forward. Many things were taken out of context. I only offered this side to give anyone that was invested a chance to see the other side of the story. Last reminder, do not message parties involved. Respect their privacy. Now, there's actually a huge issue with this statement that Meowry has pointed out. Not sure how this all works on Google Docs or whatever. I'm not sure if this is true. But here's the claim. Meowry says, you have put together your points? Then why could we see your PR team editing your doc? How do you expect us to think any of this is genuine when opportunity after opportunity you deflect and hide behind others? You're growing, start acting like it. And includes these screenshots, which has this cha latte channel person here in the corner. Again, I'm not necessarily sure how this all works. Another area says, hi, this is Bunny. And you can see a tag above that from Aaron Little. So there's also links here as well. It says influencer relations manager. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, no. If this is really what happened. If this is really what happened and Bunny didn't make this statement, some PR team wrote it for her or something, I think it's safe to say things got worse after the statement came out. But ultimately, make of that what you will. We're not done there, though. Near the end. We've got a final response to take a look at. This one from Layna herself responding to Bunny's response. And she says, with the preface, I think it's time we put this to rest and move on. Owning up to your behavior first and foremost was not what was important to you in your response, and that is so unfortunately clear. I no longer wish to discuss this as all the evidence is there. If you are unable to give a solid reasoning as to why you did this to myself and I Has Toys, the company, for years, not just 4 years ago, there's evidence of you defaming in 2020 that has already been posted, and evidence of Baru coming to my friends to defame me as of January, even after evidence of consent from our company and your previous agency to professionally end our business partnership, then there's nothing left to be said. Our company had you keep your pre-order sales in good faith. We all agreed and ensured we wanted this to end with no fuss. You ruined my life. You made me sick. You followed me everywhere I went. I'd like to know what brought you to do and say such horrible things for so long. You proved in your response that you were paid, even though you claim not to be to others, exposing your lie, which is why we are here. Actively spreading defamation to anyone who will listen is not seeking refuge with close friends. You are and continue to be the abrasive person you claim not to be, as there is hard evidence this version of you was not just 4 years ago. I think if you are unable to answer this, I feel it's best we move on. If you decide to reply, I would urge you to write this from your heart and not your several members of PR. So there you go. That's the situation. And make of all this what you will. Once again, this is my take on the coverage, my understanding of the situation, not all the details talked about here. But that's what I got for you. I'd like to try to end this video on a positive note. Not entirely sure how to do that, though. It would be nice if this was a situation that happened years ago and people changed and everyone got along. Not sure if it's going to play out that way, though. But that would be nice. It's been a crazy week in the EN Vtuber community. Perhaps the positive note is, surely next week can't be this crazy. Or is that the, jinxing it, so to speak, sort of thing that's going to happen? I guess we'll find out. What to say, Friday? Y'all have a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you tomorrow for the next segment. And we'll also see how next week goes.